So far this year, in the year of our Lord 2025, I've been watching one movie a day every day. Why? Because I can. I don't know. At the time of this recording, it's July 2nd, so I'm officially halfway through the year. I'm not about to rattle off every single movie I've seen so far, but I'm just gonna go month by month, talk about some highlights and some lowlights. And then I'll proceed to make a video at the end of each month this year, doing the same thing for that month. I do have caveats with my challenge though. On days where I simply don't have time, or if I really don't feel like carving out 2 hours out of my day to watch a feature-length film, I'm gonna watch a short film. And so most of my watches so far have been short films. If you want to discredit that, I get it, but there are days where I really can't carve out 2 hours. I'm also not including rewatches. It has to be a new movie every day. I've been using letterboxd to catalog everything I've been watching. If you don't know what letterboxd is, and no, this is not sponsored, letterboxd is essentially Goodreads for movies. It's an app that you use to catalog movies you've watched, write reviews, share them, make lists. I've really been having a lot of fun using letterboxd, and honestly, it's completely changed my brain chemistry and how I enjoy and watch movies. Anyway, without further ado, here's what I've seen so far this year, starting in January. I'm gonna have to read off of my phone a lot because I'm not memorizing all of this. A lot of January was spent caught up watching movies that I didn't get to see in theaters in 2024. January highlights include Late Night with the Devil, Heavy Metal, Blue Velvet, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, Conclave, and the Sonic trilogy. I want to pick on Late Night with the Devil for a moment. This one I thought was so fun. I love the late night show aspect of it, and there's a surprising amount of practical effects, which I wasn't expecting. It's also great to see David Dastmalchian in a lead role. Heavy Metal I really enjoyed as well. The more I think about it, the more I fall in love with it. I'm going to increase my rating on it, actually. One low light I'm going to pick on is The Brutalist. I was really looking forward to seeing this, and I did go see it in theaters. I regret it. I really love Adrian Brody as a performer, so I really was excited to see it. The whole first half of the movie I really enjoyed. It sets itself up as a historical immigration story, but then in the second half, it becomes a different movie. I'm not a fan of the inciting incidents in the second half of the movie. There are also some aesthetic issues I have with it. And on a moral level, I have some issues with the director. So yeah, The Brutalist, I gave a half star. And then Morbid Curiosity got to me when it came to the Sonic movies. Initially, I wrote them off as just a cash grab. But really, as I watched each one, they get progressively better. I'm really excited for the fourth movie. Next, highlights and lowlights in February. Highlights in February include In the Mood for Love, Angel's Egg, a short film called The Thaw, another short called Hope and Glory, Back to the Future, Shelter 54, Night Shift, and In the Weeds. In the Mood for Love is one I've been anticipating to see for a while. I've generally heard of it as one of the most beautifully shot films ever made, and after seeing it, I concur. It is very well shot and so maturely written. Would I want to see it again? I wouldn't mind. But it's certainly a more artistic film and not really entertainment, in my opinion. Angel's Egg is an anime film from the 80s, and it feels so lonely. It's very quiet, there's not a ton of dialogue. In fact, the film is 71 minutes with credits, but the script is significantly shorter. Typically, screenplays go by a minute per page. Angel's Egg breaks that. It was hard for me to find a version of the film that had English dubbing, or even one with English subtitles, so I looked for the script separately, and that's how I know that. The Thaw is a really great horror short film that reminds me a lot of Robert Eggers' style. I also saw Gladiator for the first time, and that I thought was fun. I feel this movie was a great inspiration for the Ultramarines in 40K. This wasn't entirely my choice, but I saw Barbie as the Princess and the Pauper. A friend of mine just put it on at a party. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. Hope and Glory is a fantastic Mad Max short film. It's a fan film, of course, and typically fan films get a bit of an eyebrow raise of suspicion, but this is such high quality, I wouldn't mind considering it part of the Mad Max canon. I saw Back to the Future for the first time in its entirety. I had of course known of it and saw plenty of scenes growing up, but I never watched it in its entirety, and it's an automatic 5 stars. Like, who needs scientific accuracy with a classic like this? And then another fan film, Shelter 54, which is set in the Godzilla universe. One of the best fan-made pieces of media I've ever seen. I love the creator's alternative takes on Godzilla lore. And then another short film, Night Shift. This is a really wonderful horror short directed by Carly Boone. It's an original story about a girl and her best friend who live in a small town and they just feel stuck. They want to get out. It's kind of slice of life, coming of age. There are some technical aspects here that I think are a bit lacking. In this case, that really doesn't matter. To me, this film screams passion. I can feel that the filmmakers really cared about what they're making, and that matters more than anything. Moving on to March. Highlights include Paddington, But I'm a Cheerleader, Constantine, Challengers, Tank Girl, The Gorge, and Reappear. I saw a lot of great short films this month, but I'm not going to talk about every single one of them. Though I will talk about this one, Reappear. I thought this was immensely charming. It's about a young man who wants to recreate a photo of his dad after he passed. He does this for his mother to help her grieve. As he goes out doing this, he meets a woman who helps him take the photo. It's so simple, but it's so lovely. I also saw The Gorge with Anya Taylor-Joy and Miles Teller. I don't get why this movie has a lot of hate on it in letterboxd. It's just hot people fighting monsters. Like, what do you expect? The meaning of life? Sure, the monster designs, I think, could have been more spooky. As is, though, I think it's really fun. I want to pick on Mickey 17 for a bit. I did like the film. However, I prefer Bong Joon-ho's work outside of Hollywood. Tank Girl I saw for the first time, which is such a fun, vibey 90s movie. Apparently the movie killed Lori Petty's career afterward, which I guess, considering the times, I would see why, but that is absolutely criminal. Challengers I did enjoy, but when I personally don't like the characters in most of the cast, that can lead to a very frustrating viewing experience. Not saying the characters were badly written. I'm just saying I don't jive with the characters' personalities. Art was cool though. He was just a bro. Constantine was awesome. The scene where Keanu Reeves flips off the devil as he enters heaven is so iconic. But I'm a Cheerleader was really nice. I enjoyed that one. But I'm a Cheerleader I really enjoyed. I don't know what it is about lesbian love stories where usually they culminate into the girls running away together. It's odd how that keeps happening. I'll also pick on Companion as a lowlight. Companion I just thought was okay. Although there's far too many illogical moments. Like, they keep doing the any last words moment when you have them right there. Like, if you're gonna shoot, don't talk. I also feel it suffers from the commercial look. Like, there's no distinct visual style. Everything just looks unnervingly clean. I want to see flaws in movies. I don't want perfection. Personally, that's how I feel. And then lastly, Paddington. I love this little dude. This guy rocks. I'll deny any admittance of tearing up in the beginning. One more I'll pick on. XX. This is fucking horrible. It's a horror anthology, so about every 30 minutes or so is a different story. The film is fronted as being female-led. Every story is written and directed by a woman, which is great. I just wish the stories also were great. The best story here, in my opinion, is the first one, The Box. That one actually has a really fun sort of existential element to it. The rest of them, forget about it. Next month, April. Now that I'm looking at it again, not too many great ones, but we definitely have some highlights. Those include Booksmarts, Colorful Stage, the movie, A Miku Who Can't Sing, Death Watch, The Edge of 17, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, Ready or Not, Sinners, Paddington 2, The Grand Budapest Hotel, and Fantastic Mr. Fox. As you can see, I had a Wes Anderson phase there. Still more of his movies I gotta see, though. First, I'll talk about Booksmart. This, I had known for a long time, heard my friends talk about it, finally got to see it. I get why. This is so fun. I'll also talk about this short film, Rhyme or Die. This is about a sort of Saw scenario where a woman kidnaps a group of musicians and they each have to freestyle in order to escape. It's really funny, and honestly, the fact they wrote this out is really great. Unless it is actual freestyle from them, then that's bonus points for them as performers. And of course, the Miku movie, Colorful Stage. Okay, perhaps as is, the film is very confusing, but for me, as a Miku fan and as someone who's played Colorful Stage, I really loved it. I went to see it opening weekend in my area, and I went as Brazil Miku, naturally. It was really fun. Then I found a movie called Death Watch with Andy Serkis. This is set in World War I, and it's about a group of British soldiers who occupy a German trench, but there's something in the trench. This is very 40K coded. I thought it was really fun. Next, The Edge of 17 with Haley Steinfeld. I liked this one a lot. In contrast to Booksmart, where I'm rooting for both girls, this one makes me hesitate towards Haley Steinfeld's character. It's tough because, of course, you want to root for her, but her character continues to make decisions that are like, I'm sorry, girl, but you chose to do that. And then the perks of being a wallflower. This one, I really wish I saw when I was in high school. Like, this actually would have changed how I approached life when I was younger. The themes are relevant forever. It's a modern classic. Ready or Not is a really fun cat and mouse type horror story. And my God, the screams from Samara Weaving are hilarious. Sinners, an absolute monument of cinema so far this year. The crafts on display is undisputed. This is a film. Capital F, film. That said, I do feel it's kind of self-indulgent in some areas. That's where it loses some parts for me. I think some sequences could have been shorter. The story, though, is so great. I loved all of the characters. I'm really looking forward to what else Ryan Coogler does. The Grand Budapest Hotel. Again, I wish I saw this even sooner. Wes Anderson's craft in this is absolutely astounding. It's hypnotizing to look at, and the story is riveting. And Fantastic Mr. Fox is just really fun. Now, I also saw Rushmore. This one I didn't really like as much. I just thought it felt awkward. I really don't jive with the main. I get he's supposed to be witty and rebellious, but I was not feeling it. All right, next up, May. Highlights in this month include Warfare, Thunderbolts, a short film called Teeth, Mosquito Lady, lots of great short films in this month, Lady Parts, Home, The Pig Child, Last Summer, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. This is also when the new season of Love, Death, and Robots came out, and each of the episodes are on Letterboxd because they are short films on their own. The only one of note, really, I thought was 400 Boys. Talking about the features first. Warfare, I did enjoy. I would put it into the category of it's art but not entertainment. Thunderbolts, I was pleasantly surprised with. By now, I've lost a lot of trust in MCU movies and MCU content in general. Thunderbolts, though, I really appreciate for how contained it is. As in, it doesn't constantly make references every 5 minutes. Like, hey, remember this? All that does is show that the new stuff isn't as good. Mosquito Lady is a great representation of Filipino folklore. This short film called Lady Parts, which is a lesbian body horror story. Home is a really tragic Korean horror story. Lenoria is one of the highest quality animated shorts I've ever seen. Last Summer is a wonderful slice of life animated story. It's from a channel on YouTube called Goblins, which I've been watching a lot of their short films recently, and they make easily some of the best quality animated shorts I've ever seen. Last Summer in particular, though, it's so wholesome. And then lastly, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Ferris is what you get when you max out your charisma stat. And I imagine he became the power fantasy for anyone in high school going forward. Thunderbolts and Warfare are next to each other in my letterbox because I theater hop to watch both in the same day. Lastly, for now, June. Highlights include Layla, Ballerina, Dare to be Fabulous, Treevenge, Dazed and Confused, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and Try Hard. I'm going to talk about the lowlights first. Licorice Pizza. This one famously starring the Hyam sisters, namely Elena Hyam. Now, in all honesty, I was not feeling this at all. Going off of my review on Letterboxd, and this is definitely how I still feel about it now. This feels like Wes Anderson's Rushmore, but way more awkward. It's about a love story between a 15-year-old boy and a 25-year-old woman. Now, I keep telling myself it's under the guise of the 70s, and that at the time, sure, I suppose that was okay. You can look at films made in the 80s and there are underage romances. This just feels weird, though. Oh my goodness. Another highlight I gotta include. This animated short film called Fueled. I thought this was absolutely heartbreaking. What I wrote in my Letterboxd review was, shit's crazy on this Animal Crossing island. Another animated short called Layla, about some boys who get a sex robot, but instead of doing that, They teach her how to skate. It's really funny and really charming. Then the John Wick spin-off Ballerina, which I thought was supremely badass. There's so many great set pieces, and even though a lot of physics are ultimately ignored, it doesn't matter. The rule of cool wins in this case. Dare to be Fabulous is an animated short. It's about a young man who's aspiring to be a great gangster just like his dad. His dad isn't entirely what he says he is, though. And here we have another short called Treevenge. This one's ancient, from the year 2008. That said, it very much has that wonderfully campy 2000s early YouTube era filmmaking style. It's about Christmas trees getting their revenge during the holidays. It's really stupid, but really fun. And I'm gonna combo Dazed and Confused and Fast Times at Ridgemont High because they're essentially the same movie. They're both just fun 80s teen slice of life, I'd say. Dazed and Confused makes me want to add man at the end of every sentence. Oh wait, Dazed and Confused takes place during the 70s. Never mind. You get the idea though. The last one I'll pick on is Echo Valley. This came out super recently, starring Julianne Moore and Sydney Sweeney. I'll summarize what this film is about by saying a mother going to great lengths to help her daughter. I thought this was nice. Nothing super crazy. I thought it very much feels like a straight to streaming kind of movie. Both Echo Valley and The Gorge that I mentioned earlier are Apple TV Plus exclusives. They were both made for the platform. And this era of straight to streaming movies, I think, is interesting. There's definitely a tonal quality that I feel is different with them. I'm not quite sure how to describe it yet, but the expectation I have going into movies that's released in theaters feels very different than a movie I see that's was made for streaming. Speaking for myself, at least, I have this mindset going into a straight to streaming film that sort of undermines it. Like, I'm not expecting as much, which is really a shame. That said, I would still recommend Echo Valley. I don't think it's a bad movie by any means. And that's it. That's my year of movies so far. Grossly summarized, but again, that's 6 months worth of movies. I'm happy with how I'm doing so far. I definitely want to see more features. Most of what I've seen so far is shorts, and that's great too. But I gotta be crossing off more classics, I think. But also, the motivation has to be there, you know? I don't want to just put on a feature because I can. But I have been enjoying myself a lot so far. I'll have my letterboxd account linked below if you want to follow my progress day to day. And again, at the end of each month now, I'll be making progress videos going over my highlights and lowlights from the month in much greater detail this time. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.